Welcome everybody. In today's video, we'll be going over Scout style knives. And what that means is Scout knives. You're looking to get a knife for the Boy Scouts. You are a Boy Scout looking for a knife. You should be looking to get approval from an adult if you are a Boy Scout. But I have a collection here of Scout knives that are close. I don't have a Victorinox version as close to these, so we're getting the closest one here, which is the Deluxe Tinker. I'm looking at Scout knives here. I'm going to show you the ones I like, the ones I dislike, which ones do I think are better for Scouts, which ones do I think are worse. And this is just going to be more of a ramble and rant quote-unquote review rather than a hardcore, this is this knife at such and such quality level and here's what I think you should get. It's just me rambling. So ramble. Starting off, classic Victorinox. You can't go wrong with a Victorinox. If you're looking to get a Victorinox for a Cub Scout, Boy Scout, whatever, you can't go wrong. You get a decent knife blade, decent size, stays sharp for quite a while. People rag on Victorinox steel. It's not nearly as bad as they make it out to be. They say it sucks. It does not suck. It holds an edge for quite a while, even if under some abuse. It's worth it. Don't listen to the naysayers. I seriously like Victorinox. This can be either one of three tools, depending on the model. On this knife, specifically, the Deluxe Tinker, we have a secondary pin blade. On some knives, you'll have like the little tool on the classic SD, which is the file flathead thing. It'll be the file with a nail cleaner at the tip. Or on like the Farmer series and the Pioneer series, this will be an awl, a reamer awl, AWL. So that can be one of three tools depending on which Victorinox you get. Up next, you'll usually have a can opener with a small flathead, also Phillips head driver, and this does work on Phillips heads pretty well. The way they shaped it, it works on Phillips heads quite well. On the other side, we have a cap lifter, small wire stripper, and large flathead driver. Very nice, with a half stop, by the way. Clicks in place quite solidly. Very good. I love this. This is a Good Pry Bar. It's just a good all-around handy tool. We usually have two scale tools, depending on the knife model, pair of tweezers, which are not all that strong, but they're good enough to get splinters out and other things. It's just a good tool to have. And then a tool I've been using a lot lately, the toothpick. And I've had this knife for going on 2 years now, and I am still on the original toothpick. I do not lose my toothpicks like some of you people out there. Some knives have a saw. This one does not. But mine does have a nice pair of scissors. And I recommend getting a Victorinox with scissors. These things are fantastic. They cut a lot of things. They stay sharp for quite a while. They're just an all-around good tool to have. I personally like the Deluxe Tinker because along with the scissors, I get a decent pair of pliers. Now these are not heavy-duty pliers by any stretch of the imagination. The smallest Knipex will play these up better than, any standard tool. Get a 5-inch Knipex plier. That'll work. I know there's a 4-inch version. I don't have that around right now, but the 5-inch Knipex will outplay this pair of pliers any day of the week. But I like this as an oversized tweezer. It's just what your fingers can pinch, but better. It's a good tool. And then you'll have either a corkscrew or a Phillips head driver in this slot here. Mine has a package holder, which I use for more things than holding Walmart bags on the way to the car. And then this one, since this pin blade was not an awl, since that is a pin blade, not an awl, I have the awl down here. Very good awl. I love this particular model of Victorinox. If you're looking to get a Victorinox, you don't know what to get, maybe start with the Deluxe Tinker. I recommend any of the Tinker series, the Basic Tinker, the Super Tinker, and the Deluxe Tinker. Get any of those. They're fantastic. Up next, we have probably the one that I think is the worst, This runs, I should get this out of the way. The price for this runs anywhere between $45 and $60, $70, depending on what time of year, sales, and all that. Usually closer to the $70 benchmark. But I've had this for almost 2 years. It's held up through some heavy abuse. I like it. I endorse it. This, I do not endorse. This is a Rough Rider Scout Knife. Micarta, and I know this is just $20, and for $20 you're not getting all that much, but compared to $25 and $7 from Marbles, which is a sub-brand of Rough Rider, it's surprising that this even made it, okay? Starting off, we have a good can opener. Fantastic can opener. Love it. And this is, these three are 440 carbon steel, so they can rust if not treated, and having opened some cans, this is already starting to rust a little bit right there. 1 week in, so bear that in mind. Knife blade, I do like. Good half stops on all 4 tools, by the way. I do like the knife blade. Knife blade, good. That's about all I have to say that's good about this. I do like the awl. It's a good punch. It's a good awl. Very sharp, very scrapey, very pokey. Lovely. Not as good as a knife blade, but I like it. Those 2 tools I like. The tool I hate the most is the Flathead. This is so hard to open. It almost pulls my thumbnail back trying to open it. Once I get it out to the half stop, I can do that the rest of the way. I will say it's a solid flathead. It holds up to some twisting and torquing that would normally break a lot of other things. It's pretty strong. Good bottle opener. Again, we're getting rust on this already, which, kind of a bummer. I mean, it's a week into me owning this, and already we have rust. Now, I have not oiled my knives any at all. I try not to, because I want to see how long they go. Now, if one gets really bad, I may try to clean it up, but I kind of want to see how stainless are some of these stainless steels. And this one obviously is not all that stainless. It's got some rust going on. But I hate this tool because as a grown man, I have big hands here, and that almost pulled my fingernail off, just opening that. Now imagine giving this to a kid with smaller hands, smaller fingernails. No way he's going to be able to open this without a secondary tool. And that's just not smart. I don't like that. The micarta is too smooth to feel like micarta. Compare it to a QSP Penguin where you have some of that roughness here that you can actually grip. You know, that is nice. But this is so smooth, it's almost like the Victorinox scales, which kind of, to me, defeats the purpose of having micarta. Maybe this will wear in over time. But it starts off so doggone smooth, it's not fun at all. I like the size of the bail. Don't get me wrong, it's a good size bail. But it came out of the box bent. I don't know how well that's showing up on camera, but it's kinked that way. And it came out of box significantly kinked. And it's just not cool. Also, this wobbles all over the place on here. And that's not helping me feel secure with my knife. If I tie a lanyard or a chain to this and hook it to my belt, this wobbling, I'm fine with the looseness like that. The rotation, that's fine. But the wibble wobble of everything else is not conducive to me feeling secure that my knife is not going to fall off during a 5-mile hike. So, with that said, loose bail and tough to open flathead, I do not recommend this knife at all, because if this is anything to say of Rough Rider's quality control for a higher end knife of theirs, I do not recommend it. So this goes over here in the garbage. Forget that. The next knife that I have, we're going to finish with my favorite of the 4 here for a scout knife. As an EDC knife, I would recommend Victorinox. Just a few more tools, more on the grid uses rather than off the grid uses, I'd say. But here we have the knife blade. Starting off with the David Canterbury designed Marvel's brand Scout King. This is a phenomenal knife with two design choices, not quality. The knife is a good quality knife. Love it. It's design that gets me a little bit. Now let's compare this blade to the Victorinox blade. Big difference here. We got size difference. Just, you know, David Canterbury designed a beast of a knife. Okay, I have big hands. This fills my hands completely. This is a full size knife. Almost 3 inches of sharpened blade, or 3 inches of tip to tip. Almost 2 3/4 of actual sharpened edge. That is a lot of edge to work with. Fairly thick. Got a nice swedge going on over here on the back. Very nice. Large fingernail grooves here. Good detent. Half stop. It's a good knife. Good knife blade. The hole punch. The cause of me wearing a purple band-aid. Previous video. I scraped myself and I put the band-aid on. If you go watch the previous video on my channel here, and you'll see that happen. Warning, you'll see a little bit of blood. It's not bad. It's worse than a little worse than a cat scratch. I'll be fine in 3 hours. Who cares? Good sharp hole punch, good sharp reamer, sewing hole. This is a good tool. Good detent, good pull, half stop. Lovely. Continuing with the flathead driver and cap lifter. Phenomenal. Love it. This holds up to a lot of twisting and torquing without showing any signs of permanent bend. It sometimes might bend if you're really wailing on it, but it bends back, at least in the stuff that I've done. If it feels like you're going to break the knife, then you might break the knife. But, you know, most normal, like, you know, you got to bugger some screw in a wall or something, this will get it out. You won't have to break out the big guns for it. Cap lifter, great. Good, smooth detent. And the things that I complained about on this do not exist here. This opens up nicely. A kid could open it, but bear in mind this is a big knife. And for a kid, might be a little too big to handle safely. Now, here comes the 2 things that I dislike about the knife. Starting off, can opener. You see how much that sticks out? That sticks out pretty far. And when you've got the knife blade open and you're holding that down, I've got this hot spot right here in my hand trying to use it. Now, it's not that bad of a hot spot. I can choke up a little bit where it's not so bad, but it's just pronounced enough that it is a big annoyance. And then, let's compare this to the other knives here. Can opener size. Comparing sizes on this channel, everybody. These are normal size can openers here, and this thing is just massive. And it does not help the opening of cans any at all. Does not, and I'd almost say it makes it a little bit worse than using the smaller can opener. I really do. I really do think that. I think David Canterbury, I'm calling him out on this video again, I think he should have designed that to be this size. And then, icing on the cake for this thing, when looking inside this knife, here's the bottom of the spring, or top of the spring. Here's the bottom of the claw of the can opener. You've got this 1/4 inch that you could have dropped that and made that more flush with everything else. Yeah. Just a design choice that is just puzzling as to why that got out past paper and went onto a knife. Next up, the bail. This is a ton better than this. Both are still offset from the main center core of the 2 tools. Okay, this bail is still connected to just the bolsters for all intents and purposes. It is not a pin that goes all the way through from what I can tell because of the center of rotation of the other tools. But this one does not have the wibble wobble that one has. and it's a little bit longer. I do kind of like the longer bail, but I would have been fine with the shorter bail. That's fine. You know, a bail is a bail. And when it comes to size, I don't care about the size so much. But this is already better than that, okay? But my favorite bail is the bail on the Marble's GI utility knife. This pin goes all the way through the tools. It's one less step than having to go have the pin for the tools and then the pin for the bail. It's simpler, and this is thicker, stronger, tougher. I love it better. But this is a perfectly reasonable bail, but I do wish that this was chunkier and felt more secure, because if this is your scout knife and you've got it tied to your belt, this is just flimsy enough. It's just a little bit of an annoyance in the back of my mind that's like, am I going to lose the knife, or will I trust it to be there when I get down the road 5 miles or something? You know what I mean? I call me nitpicky, but that's just something that just... I don't know why they didn't choose to beef that up a bit more. The bolsters and the bone scale are lovely. I love this. This is a phenomenal knife. I love this. I will carry it, but I do have those 2 gripes about it, but they are not so much of a gripe that I will not love it and carry it. Let's put it that way. And for 25 bucks, this is fantastic. 22.25, and I get a ton more quality and just a better knife than Rough Rider. Do not buy Rough Rider Scout Knife. We'll set that over here. Now we're going to finish with my favorite Scout Knife, which is really not a Scout Knife. This is actually more of a replica of a U.S. military-issued knife to the Pacific Theater soldiers during World War II. And we have the main knife blade here with the Marble's print on the blade. A little tacky, but, you know, like, it's one thing I don't like about the David Canterbury knife. I don't like having his signature on the blade. Would have liked a plain blade and maybe his signature on the scale. Consider that. I don't like the branding on the blade. It just kind of messes up the blade to me, but it is a good blade. No swedge, but a good shape, good length. No half stops on this, but it's solid. It clicks open, clicks closed. We have a good can opener here. Perfect size can opener, not this monstrous beast over here. We have a delightful Flathead cap lifter. Cap lifter is kind of 50-50 on this. It works, it doesn't work. There's something weird about the curvature here, but for $7, I don't open a lot of bottles, and if I do, I'll probably just take the bottle and just go like that. The screw, I have put some pressure on, and it has not bent yet. It is fantastic. The flathead screwdriver, lovely, lovely. My favorite hole punch all of the 4 is this guy right here. Super sharp. And as I keep it honed, I'm going to see if I can make it sharper as it goes up. So you've got like a little mini surgeon's razor knife almost. But this thing is super sharp. Came super sharp out of the box. Perfect. Now, the one qualm I did have is when I got this knife, there was a tiny little ding in the edge here, but 1 minute, 2 minutes of sharpening, I had it out, honed. We're in business. The bail is solid, it's stiff, it doesn't bend. I love that thing. It's my favorite knife, and it's $7. You want to get a scout a knife, a Boy Scout a knife, get him or her a Marble's GI utility knife. This thing is fantastic. And if you want to splurge and spend $13, you get a little spork camping can opener tool along with it. It's fantastic. I recommend this knife. This thing is a beast. It's solid steel, 440 carbon. It's fantastic. I love this thing. Out of the 4 knives as a scout knife, I recommend this knife here. This is fantastic. As an EDC knife, I recommend a Victorinox. You get a few more tools. That's me. We're talking scouts here. Boy Scouts of America. Boy Scouts around the world. You want to get a knife? I recommend one of these 2 as a traditional scout style knife. If you want to spice things up, consider getting a Victorinox. These are delightful. Do not buy Rough Rider. I have had some Rough Riders. that are not Scout knives, and I love them. They're fantastic. Do not buy the Scout knife, though. This thing is hot garbage. It's sitting in my toolbox where I may use it as an absolute beater knife if I have to, but I will not carry that sucker. I'm not even going to sell it. I don't think it's worth selling to somebody. It's too doggone terrible. I'm not going to sell that to somebody. It's just pathetic. But favorite Scout knife is most certainly the Canterbury. I have large hands. I love the massive blade. This thing is just fantastic. I love it. I'm going to carry this. As soon as this video is over, this is going back in my pocket. And beside it is this. I carry a couple knives on me at any one time because I'm trying to test and use the knives to see how well they hold up to abuse and use. And I can't do that if I leave them at home. So if you meet me in public, you'll probably find out that I've got like 3 or 4 knives on hand. And that's not as weapons. I am just trying to get through day-to-day life, just see which one holds up better so I can make better reviews for you guys. So, we're at the end of the video. I do have an announcement to make. I have an affiliate link with QSP Knives. They are the maker of the penguin that took the EDC world by storm a couple years ago. This one is almost 2 years old. This is green micarta, which is held up and patinaed nicely and still has a ton of grip to it. It still has a grippiness about it. Even though I've sweated and oiled on this thing, it's still holding up. There's no blade wiggle, no blade play. I've sharpened it once in 2 years and then honed it the rest of the time. This is D2 steel. I have not oiled this at all, and there is next to no rust on the blade at all. There's a little bit down here at the base, but not enough to mess up the aesthetics here. And for $32, $33 plus shipping, maybe depending on where you live and what have you, this is a delightful knife. I love it. And I will post a link down below. If you click the link, it will take you to the QSP homepage of their website. And if you buy a knife there, I get a 7% commission. Every little bit you spend there helps me out just that little bit more. So, thank you for listening to me do an ad. Thank you for listening to me ramble about knives. And I think that does it for this video. I hope you found it useful. I hope you found it informational. I hope it helps you build your EDC to your standards. And until the next time, a farewell, a carry well, and a bye-bye.